शुक्लां वरदरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. Okay. So, if all of you remember, last time we had started with a new topic, statecraft in Mahabharata. So, we saw that Mahabharata is one of the, you can say, greatest or oldest, largest, whatever you want to call it. Let's not say oldest, largest and greatest epics, itihasas in the entire world, not only in Bharata. So, and a very important historical source that has maintained a lot of historical records. So, in that we have this topic of statecraft, that is there, how public policy should be maintained, how a government should function, how a kingdom should function, what are the rules of the king, what kind of public policies should be implemented, what kind of welfare activities, or you can say welfare measures should be implemented for the public, and so on. So, all this has been described in detail. Mainly, we saw four primary gurus of that talk about statecraft. First is Narada, who tells it to Yudhishthira. Then you have Vidura, who talks about statecraft in his famous Vidura Niti to Dhritarashtra. Then Bhishmacharya again to Yudhishthira, and lastly the statecraft of Krishna. So Krishna, if you see the entire Mahabharata, he does not actually tell it to one particular person. Arjuna, yes, during the Gita, during the Upadesha, Gita Upadesha that is there. But apart from that, mainly it is through entire Mahabharata, whatever Krishna advises, like he tells the Pandavas everywhere, whenever Pandavas fell into trouble, Krishna was there to guide them, right? So that is also a part of statecraft only. So through the entire Mahabharata, Krishna has contributed for statecraft. So mainly now we started with Narada. Those who missed the last session, go through the audio so you can relate to it better. So firstly, who is Narada? Narada Devarishi. So though we have Narada at times shown in a very, you can say like a comical character also, is not at all so. Devarishi, very, very intelligent, a very wise rishi. He was the one who had first told the Ramayana to sage Valmiki, or rather who inspired Valmiki to write the entire Ramayana. So what is his statecraft policy? Let's have a look. So he tells Yudhishthira a few points we had discussed. Quickly, we'll go through the same. So Narada, he says that first of all, he tells Yudhishthira, as a king, you must always think properly before spending your resources. Where you have to spend what, you have to make a note of this properly and then decide so that your expenses, your resources can be used properly. For things which are already there, you keep spending more wealth upon that, it will be of no use. For things or in areas which actually need requirement, if you work upon that, it will be beneficial. And secondly, for the sake of wealth, maybe from somewhere you'll get some extra wealth or so, or in easy terms, you can consider easy ways to make money, or you can say quick money, fast money. Sometimes you have, right? um, you install, like in our phones also nowadays, a very simple example if I give you, they will say no, you'll get a bonus, you'll get a lottery, or these WhatsApp forwards that come especially during festivals. Now I think it will come again, you have the new year coming up, or during the Diwali and all, you'll have so and so the DMart has got an offer, or Tata something shop will have an offer, you click on this link, it will take you somewhere and so on, right? So it is just like something which tries to pull our minds, and then it is like maybe it will be some fraud or so, or maybe they'll tell you, you pay us 1 lakh, instead of 1 lakh you'll get 1 crore and so on. So something like that. That is ethics, morals are lost. So now this I gave you an example in simple terms. In case of a king, or in the case of Yudhishthira, Narada advised on those lines that it may be taking money from people or so, or maybe doing some wrongdoings, doing something wrong or something which is not acceptable by the society in order to gain wealth, all such things should not be done. It's okay even if you have less wealth, but you must not compromise on your morals and ethics. Next is the six high important qualities. Is there are many qualities that are mentioned by Narada, Vidura, and so on if we go through the text fully. So mainly, as a king, always respect the public. Always first you have to work for the people who are there, the subjects. Even at Raja Dharma should be followed properly, just as Rama also highlights in the Ramayana. So even at the cost of anything and everything, people have to be worked upon. Then know the strength and weakness of your kingdom. Like I think I gave you the example of Arjuna and Bhima, right? Arjuna is a great archer, so in front of Karna, Arjuna should go and fight the war, right? Bhima, he was fit for Duryodhana because he was a great expert in Gadha Yuddha. Both of them were experts. So like this, you must know the strength and weakness of your kingdom. You must know which soldier, which minister, or who is strong in which field, and accordingly you must arrange your army. Next is on 14 different grounds. What is this? How to access your enemy? It's not that always a war takes place in a normal battlefield. It can be anywhere, right? So the terrain or in whatever situation the war comes in, you should be able to handle it properly. Next is again, as a Kshatriya, your most important dharma is to secure people. So always to work for the benefit of the people is very, very important. That should be your most important priority. Next is selecting the right ministers and the workforce. Again, you can say somewhat similar to strength and weakness of your kingdom. So that is, know the right ministers who can be placed at what quarter, know them and accordingly assign each one of them their duties. As and The most important point is the last point. Are you as a king approachable to people during the times of need? This is sorry, this is something which is very, very important. Now, in the case of a kingdom, this is applicable, or even in case of a workplace or anything like that. How is, like, we consider, is the top management always accessible to us? Many times you go to some places also, it's not that directly we can go and meet with the high authorities, right? You will, if you want some work to be done, especially even in government offices, if you see, you'll go to one person, he'll say, no, you go to him, you go to him, you go to him, you go to him. It just keeps upon passing. Actually, your work doesn't get done. You're not in contact with the actual authority who has proved it, right? So this should not be done. So through this, what happens is we lose faith, right? Our work is never getting done, and we are just going about, moving about, running from here and there. So this should never happen. People should develop trust on their king. Only when people, your own subjects, have trust on the king, they know that okay, we are in times of need, we are in times of grief or trouble. Our king is very much approachable. Directly, we can come to the king and tell our issues. The same problem Rama had highlighted or addressed in the Ramayana. In the Uttarakanda, when the lady out of later, how when Sita, she goes to Valmiki's ashram and so on, that story, how the washerwoman, she feels bad, that it seems that there are references, she came to the kingdom of Rama, but at that time the ministers or the doorkeepers, they told her that now Rama would not be available, so she goes away, she leaves the kingdom and goes up. So years when next day when Rama comes to know of this, he gets very angry. He says that when the woman came here, why was I not approachable, or why did the doorkeepers even send me away? And that's why, because otherwise today such a thing would never have happened. I would have given justice to the woman and so on. So this is something, this point is very, very important. As a king, you must always be approachable to your subjects and public. That is something which is a very good aspect, or people develop peace and develop belief in you. Okay, next is you have the strategy of Vidura, as he mentions in Vidura Niti. At least once in a lifetime, you must read the Vidura Niti. So much of ads. Has anyone read the Vidura Niti here? No? You have not read it. All of you must read it. Very, very, you can say, very applicable to our own lives. And secondly, Mahabharata, if you see, it is something which is not actually a religious, you can say, only about bhakti, stotras, and so on. Vishnu Sahasranama is one thing, Shiva Sahasranama, Gita, all that is one thing. Now, Gita also, if you see, it's not a religious text. It's a way of life that has been told. It's not glorifying any deity also. Vishnu Sahasranama, Shiva Sahasranama, at least you can consider names of different lords, thousand names of the Lord, that is fine. But Vidura Niti, or even this Yaksha Prashnam, or the statecraft as told by Narada and so on, it's just on general terms. So it is something which maybe I have to have belief in so and so set, only then I will do that. It has got nothing to do with it. And Vidura Niti, especially one, only one, it's not totally about statecraft. It's only one portion that is there. Vidura Niti, I will advise you, you can buy a book from Gita Press. Gita Press Gorakhpur, that publication, they have a book, Vidura Niti. I think it is available in all languages. Hindi and English is surely there. So you have the verses and its meaning, that is, its translation in that particular language. English and Hindi is surely available. Other languages also it should be there. I'm not very sure. I think Kannada, Tamil will also be there. Just check once. But a very handy book, a small book that is there. So those interested, you can buy it. You'll also get online PDFs also. I have read that book, so I'm just advising. Without anything, and something which is very relatable, very easy to understand. No big rocket science or so. Quite easy. Something which is there. How should one live in the society? What are the six vices? For example, Shadripu, Nidra, Tandra, Bhayam, Krodam, Alasyam, Dirghasutrata. Vidura mentions this. It is also there in other references, no doubt. No doubt. So, what are the six vices? Nidra, Tandra, Bhayam, Krodham. So, sleep, procrastination, oversleep. Sleep in the sense oversleep, not sleep as such. Fear, or maybe procrastination, anger, and so on. So these are all certain ripus or enemies that are there within us, wherein you don't have to go out in search of enemies. Within our own body, we have so much of enemies and vices. Like you have kama, krodha, and so on. That is also there. So, like this, all this list of things Vidura mentions from whom we have to be very, very careful. So, in that, Vidura Niti, very, you can say it is quite easily available also. So, all of you can read it. Vidura, the background of Vidura, he is a half brother, not exact brother, half brother of real brother, no, half brother of Pandu and Dhritarashtra, who was born through a Dasi. So, Vidura, unlike Dhritarashtra and Pandu, he was a person who was very, you can say, wise person. And now Dhritarashtra, mainly he was blinded. He was physically blind. At the same time, he was blinded by ignorance. He felt that only his son was great. Even though he knew many times that what his son was doing was wrong or something like that, he did not even care what is happening at all. He just wanted his son Duryodhana to excel in everything. That's it. And he felt that his son was great. That was Dhritarashtra's only drawback. Pandu, as such, he had a curse that if he got intimate with any woman, also he will uh, die. So that's why, of course, biological children were not born, and we know the birth story of Pandavas. Apart from that, also he used to suffer from a like yellow fever, jaundice like thing, and he died also of the same disease. So Pandu, as such, if you see the Pandavas, they never had the love, you can say paternal. They never had their father along with them much. So Pandu, as such, was not involved in anything. He lost his life also soon. But Vidura was a very, very wise uh, person who talked a lot about self-realization, morals, statecraft, and all this in his text Vidura Niti. So what exactly he sees? Let's see. Qualities of a man and of a fool. Then what is the importance of intellect? Now, why this has been told? Now, all this you'll find in Viduraniti. There are separate verses for this. We don't have so much of time to get into each of these. So that's why I told you the reference book Viduraniti, all of you can read it. Importance of intellect. Now, there is a difference between Medha, Pratibha, Prajna, Medha, Buddhi. Right? If you know the difference. Buddhi is something which each one of us has. Okay. But there are few people amongst us who will use their mind in a particular. Now there is a particular situation, right? If there is food in front of us, we know we have to eat it, right? This is a simple thing. This is buddhi. Each one will have the same thing in his mind. But what you eat and how you eat, okay, that is also steady. Someone will eat with their hand, someone will eat with a spoon, that's fine. But what exactly you eat, that depends on each one of us, right? I like this, I like that. It's everyone's choice. So the point is, eating is something which is very common. Everyone knows, you're aware. Now if you have a brush in hand, you know how to brush your teeth, right? But what paste you use, what kind of a brush you use, that is your choice. So like that, similarly, if you see, this is a difference between prajna, medha, buddhi. Buddhi is something which everyone has. Everyone is blessed with buddhi, but the way you use it, that is completely in your hand. Especially in case of a king, he has to use his intellect. That's why we say, right, some people are wise, some people are intelligent. Or in school we go, not everyone scores 100 on 100, right? There are few who score 50, there are few who score 100, there are few who will just pass, there are few who will fail. All of them are going to the same school, they're studying the same books, the same teachers are teaching them, they have the same resources, everything is there, same buddhi is there, but each one differs. Why? Because there is a difference in intellect, prajna and medha. How each one of them grasps how you understand things. That is everyone, each one's capacity. So therefore, this intellect is something which is very, very important for a king. Also, it is very, very important for a king to have proper intelligence, because have a proper intellect. Based on that only, he will rule all the subjects. If he's like, we have so many stories of kings who are like Muda, right? But kings like Chandragupta Maurya also, thanks to their advisors like Chanakya, they would always be on the right track. Okay, next is, if proper public policies are not there, a king and his entire kingdom can be destroyed. That is, public resources, or to keep the people happy, is something which is very, very important. If that is not there, the entire kingdom destroys. Then, like I told you, an example of this Shadripus, there are a few people who are not trustworthy at all. So maybe people who speak one on your face and something else behind your back, or people who can never You can never, you can say they told you, they promised you something but they never kept up their words also. Such people should never be trustworthy. They should never be trusted, especially in case of a kingdom king also. We should never trust them because it is for the sake of the kingdom. We cannot take such risks. Next is you have the qualities of undesirable qualities of a king. How a king should not be there, that is also one thing which is there. Now why this has been highlighted is, as to do something we should know what is not to be done, right? If I know that this is right, I should know, okay, what I'm doing is right. If I say, I must know what is wrong, right? Only then, only if someone tells you you should not do this, then you will not do it. That's why we have do's and don'ts. That's why Vidura, especially in Vidura Niti, he highlights on these qualities, what should be done, what should not be done. Telling what should not be done. This is also something which is very, very important. Most of us, we don't believe in this. Or especially if you see most of our elders, we must not blame anyone, but then many times they will tell us only, you do this, you do that, you should do this, you should do that. But there are hardly few who tell that you should not do this, right? Maybe one or few things they tell, but apart from that, not doing something, or this is wrong, if you do this might lead to this. This is something which people don't always or very easily they talk about. You do this, you do that, you should do this, you should not do this. Doing is something which is more highlighted than don't do this, that might lead to this, right? So this don'ts is something which is very much important. Vidura is one of those few scholars who talks about this. So otherwise, usually if you see, like I told you, our elders, or can be even all of us also, we go and tell about people, do this, do that, but we don't tell them what if you do something, it might lead to some problems or it might be wrong and so on. So there are a few who will, or a few of our text also, you see, if they just give you a list of 10 things, if you do this, it is good, if you do this, it is good, that is fine. But if you don't tell people that what you're doing is wrong, people never get an idea, right? So Vidura especially is known for this. Or the main character, one of the features of Vidura Niti is it also talks about things which are not to be done or which are wrong. So you have a clear idea. Okay, these are the list of things. If I do, it is correct. These are the list of things. If I do, it is wrong. So I know how to act properly. Next is 8 indicators that lead to a downfall. That is, maybe one was lost his house, one was maybe lost his job, this, that, and so on. So just by looking at that person, we know that okay, it is going to lead to a downfall, or one who always speaks lies and so on. Next is 8 sources of happiness. He says, find out the means of happiness. Find out, check from your subjects what makes them actually happy. Is it just giving them wealth, incentives, or so, or is it just providing proper facilities, policies, and so on? Go and check. That's why, again, take the reference from the Ramayana. Rama, Dasharatha, on all the kings of the Ikshvaku Vamsha, they had a habit. Not only Ikshvaku Vamsha, many kings, they had a habit of maybe frequently or maybe once in a month or something like that, going in disguise, right? And to find out what exactly is happening in the society, what are the subjects telling. Maybe it might happen that sometimes it becomes difficult for the people to directly come and speak to the king. So then indirectly in disguise also he will go and find out what the subjects are speaking about. Last is decision making tactics. So further Vidura, he, now all this Vidura is talking to Dhritarashtra, okay, in Vidura Niti. So you can see Vidura is sitting down, Dhritarashtra is on the throne. So our king should take the right decisions, because the entire kingdom and its welfare is dependent on the king. So therefore, decision-making tactics of a king is very, very important. So Vidura talks about all this. Next is you have the Bhishmacharya's tactics. Now Bhishmacharya, grandfather, the son of Satyavati, sorry, Shantanu and Ganga. Bhishmacharya, who is, you can say, a great character of Mahabharata. Now mainly Bhishmacharya's statecraft that is there. Now, Bhishmacharya was such a person who was actually killed by a Pandava, and he also advised things to a Pandava. So he was killed by Arjuna. Now he was also a very shrewd man in the sense 10 days of Mahabharata Yuddham Bhishmacharya fought. Then he was killed by Arjuna, but later he gives this advice to Yudhishthira. So when he talks about this, and if you see almost 20%, whatever Bhishma, whatever Bhishma has spoken, it is actually you can consider as 20% of the entire Mahabharata. Shanti Paravam, Anushasana Paravam, both of that talks about the advice given by Bhishmacharya. Anyone knows what is there in the Anushasana Paravam? Something which is very, very common. No? Vishnu Sahasranama. Vishnu Sahasranama is a part of Anushasana Parva. You must know this. Bhishmacharya, you can see Bhishma Swargarohana Parva. Finally, towards the end, Bhishma, he chants or he advises the 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu, and he tells the same to Yudhishthira. That is a part of Anushasana Parva. So the Shanti Parva and Anushasana Parva both are, sorry, both are only spoken by Bhishmacharya. So in the from the Shanti Parva till the Anushasana, both of them they cover these topics of statecraft. So mainly Bhishma talks about Rajadharma, then Apadharma. Apadharma is whenever some apatti, the Apadharma has come from the word apatti. Some apatti or suddenly there is some crisis, how should the king react? That is told. Moksha Dharma. Moksha Dharma, morals and ethics that are to be followed by the king and subjects to ultimately attain moksha. Dana Dharma. Dana Dharma, giving in charity, that is something, just as we have social welfare, right? Today, social welfare is something which is go to schools, you go to some institutions, go to your own workplaces. We have something social that is being done. We pay for a social cause, we do something, right? So that is something which is very, very important, a part of the society. That also Bhishmacharya highlights. Lastly, Bhishma Swargarohana Parva, wherein he says, if you have to do anything, you need the grace of the Lord. For that, you have Krishna here. I'll tell you the 1,000 names of Lord Vishnu. That's how the Vishnu Sahasranama Upadesha starts. What exactly Bhishma says, let's have a look. He says the king should first subdue himself and then his foes. Now, what is the meaning here? That means subdue is to bring something under control. Now, if a person itself he doesn't have control, then it's of no use. So, king should properly have control. For this, the best example is Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra, the other way around, I'm saying. So that is Dhritarashtra little, he knew that what was happening was little which is not acceptable and so on. He knew that the Pandavas were right, but still he wants only his son Duryodhana to win always, right? Or excel in everything. So therefore he did not have a control on himself. He just knew only Duryodhana, Duryodhana, Duryodhana. So this is what ultimately brought his own downfall. His sons, he lost all his sons and so on. So king, if he wants a subject, if he wants his enemy to have a control, firstly the king should practice self-control. Then always speak the truth that is there, and that's why there are references wherein we know the famous incident of Yudhishthira and the elephant Ashwatthama, right? So Ashwatthama, what is elephant? Ashwatthama only, am I correct? Ashwatthama, the elephant, he lied. What was it? Yeah. So that was correct. Kunjarahata, right? So that is when he has been killed and this statement was made. Yudhishthira was thinking about that, right? So that is something he told in a very, you can say, very shrewd manner. No, I told about the elephant and not this Ashwatthama. So that is because he wanted to stick to truth. Bhishmacharya advises him on that. And then to be free from anger, one should learn how to forgive. That is Kshama. And the Pandavas had actually practiced this in spite of Duryodhana not behaving with them properly many times. Towards the end, they asked that you don't give us anything, we are ready to forgive. Whatever you do, you give us only 5 villages to live, but that also Duryodhana did not listen. So that's when everything they had done, they had even practiced this quality of Kshama that is there, but still Duryodhana never, you can say, agreed to this, and ultimately that it brought about his downfall. Next is there should be spies in the kingdom to know where the enemy is attacking. Is there an enemy who's keeping an eye of us and so on? Next is how in extreme emergency situations, warlike situations and so on, how should we fight? There should be a proper strategy for this. Be prepared for everything. Just as in today's times, if some war is going to take place between two countries or so, we have our soldiers ready on the borders. We have certain ammunition which is kept ready. We have certain strategies, right, which are made so that we are prepared for any emergency situation. Same thing should be done in the kingdom. Once the enemy attacks, once a war comes in, now what should I do? That will never help. So prepare a proper strategy. Next is whenever some offense comes, whenever you have to punish people, never be biased. Oh no, he is my close friend, he is my childhood friend, his punishment will be this. This person I don't know, you give him, you kill him, it's okay for me. That should not happen. For the same punishment, for the same wrongdoing, same offense, same punishment should be given equally. Next is commerce, is something which is very, very important. Now, why here? How should a king design the commerce? Commerce is nothing but the business. Vanijam, as we call it. Vanik. is the word meaning merchants or the business class. Vanijam. So the commerce or the business of the kingdom is very, very important. How money is flowing inside, how money is going out, and so on. So have a proper idea on that. Lastly, how to manage crisis in the kingdom. Some crisis suddenly comes in, like we had the recent pandemic that came in, how we faced, how we came out of that. So like this, there can be crisis situations that come in the kingdom. You should learn how to handle them. So all this Bhishmacharya advises. If you get a opportunity, if you have the original Mahabharata, you must read both these parvas, Shanti Parva, Anushasana Parva, in detail. It has been mentioned how Bhishmacharya advises. Last is the statecraft of Krishna. Now, and it so happened that towards the end in Anushasana Parva, when Bhishmacharya was talking about Swargarohan, that is when he was about to ascend to heaven. Now, Bhishmacharya had this boon of Ichamriti, right? So, here what happened is Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna was also very much present there. So, at that time, Bhishmacharya knew that the Krishna here, now Krishna Avatara, it's a Purna Avatara. So, everyone knew that the Lord here is, sorry, Krishna here is Lord Vishnu himself. Bhishmacharya also knew this, and in the presence of the Lord, like he felt a bit awkward in telling about the Lord's thousand names or about his glory, or not even about glory, speaking about Dharma also. The one who has created Dharma is standing in front of me, and it's like I am speaking about Dharma, right? So then he felt a bit hesitant. For that, Krishna, what he says, this comes in the Shanti Parva. Shrutva Dvachanam Bhishmo Vasudevasya Dhimataha Kinchit Unnamya Vadanam Paranjalirvakyam Abravit. Sanskrit is not proper here. You can just note down the words that is there, and just the reference you can note down. So here, when Bhishmacharya felt a bit hesitant, at that time Krishna, what he tells him is, he tells that I am the origin of the Vedas, Dharma, and so on. I am the one who has created this Veda, no doubt. But one who has actually practiced it, then if he teaches it, it becomes more powerful. I have made something, no doubt, but you are the one who has practiced it. So it is always better if you tell that to Yudhishthira, because you have done that, you know how things have to be followed. Yudhishthira will also have a sense of, you can say, belief. Okay, this person who's studying me so much, he has also done that. So he knows what he is doing. So he is the right one to advise. Whereas in the case of me, though I say that I have made this Dharma, I'm the origin of Vedas, Dharma, and so on, Yudhishthira has not actually seen me practicing. For this, I'll give you just to elaborate and explain it further. We have this concept of gurus, right? God is there, Guru is there. Why do we say that Guru is a connection to reach the Lord? Or many times what it happens is the Guru also worships the Lord. We are also worshipping the Lord, right? You don't need a Guru. You can directly worship God. Why is the need for a Guru? There is a need because we have a sense of belief in us that this person whom I regard as my Guru also, he is also doing the same thing what I am doing. That is, if I am following Dharma, he is also following Dharma. He has also studied the Dharma. Maybe he has actually practiced it, he has actually studied it, so he will be able to guide me better. So that's why we say that Guru is a pathway or the one who takes us near to God. So the gurus, it's not that. So now this is one thing how we have the concept of gurus. Krishna tries to show the significance of gurus through this statement. When he tells Bhishmacharya that you only advise Yudhishthira, he tries to highlight this to us, to Arjuna, sorry, to Yudhishthira and all of us, that ultimately we need some pathway that is there in order to reach the Lord, right? To make it more simple, all of us we go to school, right? Why do you go to, what is the need to go to school? You have books, you purchase textbooks from the shop also, right? You can read those textbooks at home and study. Now someone will say very blankly, no, we need that certificate, right, that we have gone to school. That is one thing. You can do it, even you can get it through other means also, maybe through distance, this and that, right? Why do we actually go to a school? Why do we actually listen to a teacher who's teaching? Now even if a teacher teaches, she also teaches through a book only, right? You can also directly read the book and learn it. Teacher is also reading from the book and only learn it, but no, we need a proper teacher, right? Because the person, she has read it, she has understood it, she will make us understand, so it becomes easy for us. Forget about school, we go to so many other children, we go to so many other classes also, right? Your own kids might be going, but what is the need? No, school anyways they're teaching. No, no, there the teacher might teach more well, so it becomes more easy for the child to understand. So out of all this, we need someone who's actually practicing, who is actually doing things. Only then people will relate to that better. This Krishna had visualized then, and that's what he tells Bhishmacharya. More than me telling that I am the origin of Vedas, Dharmas, and so on, you do this. It's always better if you tell, Yudhishthira will relate to that better. You will know more because you have actually practiced it. Now, just to add on to this, Rukmini, from the Rukmini Krishna's wife, from the Mahabharata reference, once she had a problem with Krishna. She tells that every time you are going about preaching people Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, this, that, you tell Arjuna, you tell around the world, everyone is worshipping you. Don't you feel that you should also worship? Only if you worship, the people will do around. She says, you say so much, practice what you preach, this, that. Why you are not worshipping anything? So this was a question which was raised by Rukmini. Of course, she raised it playfully. So she tells, don't you think you should worship something or someone? Now, Lord Krishna here, he could relate to this and he understood and he believed this also. He felt, yes, what she is telling is actually right. But a problem came, whom should I worship? Now, Lord Krishna is the Lord of Lords, right? There is nothing beyond him. Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu, whatever it is. So, whom will I worship? If there is something at the top level, there is nothing beyond that, what will we do? That's the last, right? So, here the Lord had a problem. So, then what he did is, now here we must not look at this that, okay, he's being so proud that he is worshipping himself. If you think about that, and it is similar to Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu also ended up worshipping himself. Hiranyakashipave namaha he did. But here the Lord says, now in the case of the Lord, He is the supreme. There is nothing beyond Him. So therefore, there is no other option, right? But it was ultimately to show to the world that practice what you preach. This is something which is very, very important. Only then people will relate. So Krishna agreed to this. So what he did was he actually made an idol of Krishna, of Vishnu, and he used to worship that. The same thing which was worshipped in Dwaraka. Today it has been brought down to the temple of Guruvayur in South India. That idol which is there has been worshipped by Lord Krishna himself in the Dwapara Yuga. That's why it has got a lot of significance. It was bought by Guru and Vayu. It was kept in Dwaraka. Then from Dwaraka, it was brought down by Guru and Vayu. And as they kept coming down, 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 they found this place of Guruvayur near Mammiyur. They found this place Guruvayur. How it came Guruvayur was bought by Guru and Vayu both together. They established, they installed the Lord. So the idol that we see of Krishna today in the temple of Guruvayur, Kerala, that has been worshipped by Lord Krishna himself, as told by in some reference as it was questioned by Rukmini, saying that why don't you do something? So there are instances wherein the Lord very clearly shows that if we have to, let's not say just convincing, but if you have to make someone agree, okay, do this. You cannot just tell people orally to do this. You tell your child, do this, right? Child will say, did you do this? First you do, then I'll do, right? So it is something we look at someone, then only it becomes easy to learn, or only if someone is doing that, looking at that, we feel that we will do it. So that's the reason why here Lord Krishna also, he tells Bhishmacharya that you only talk about dharma to Yudhishthira. Okay. Further, let's see the statecraft of Krishna now. Now, Krishna's statecraft, if you see, apart from the last four that are in grey, starting from the Adi Parvam till the Ashwamedika Parvam, there are some concepts of statecraft. So, statecraft, if you see, nothing but there are so many stories wherein Lord Krishna, as I told you, he safeguarded the Pandavas from attacks that took place. Now, there are certain controversies also that come in with regards to statecraft. The most popular controversy being the killing of Karna and uh, the war between Karna and Arjuna. When Karna's chariot, the wheel, got stuck in mud, immediately Krishna tells Arjuna, get down, kill Karna. Till date, it's a controversy. How can Krishna do that? When the Lord himself says that an unarmed hero, that is a warrior who does not have any weapons or who's on the ground, whose chariot is not working properly, such a person should not be attacked. War should always be on equal terms. Why did the Lord himself change his mind? For this now, there are two, three things. One is tit for tat mentality. Tit for tat, or basically we believe in the law of karma, right? Now Karna, what he had done is, Karna along with his army, he went to kill Abhimanyu. And when he went to kill Abhimanyu was actually injured. He did not have any weapons in his hand, but still he did not even think at all. He kept on hitting him. And it seems that Jayadratha, Ashwatthama, and so on, they were actually stretching Abhimanyu's body. But still, Karna didn't try to stop them also. Already Abhimanyu had fallen down, but still, they kept on attacking him. They did not think at all, okay, he's unarmed, he does not have a protection, nothing. Karna still didn't try to stop them at all. So he was the one who had actually violated Kshatriya Dharma, by attacking a warrior, the Abhimanyu, who did not have a chariot, and later the same thing. So this is like tit for tat. Karna had did the same thing to Abhimanyu, so Arjuna did the same thing to Karna. Now here this is one question. Now what happened is later once sorry, now this had happened. Now here one question comes in. Even if Karna had did this, is it okay for Arjuna to do? Okay. Now it's like if someone tells, okay, I hit you, do we also hit the person back? No. Okay. If he hits, still that doesn't mean that I hit, right? I know what I'm doing is wrong, so I might not react in the same. He killed him, I'll also kill you back. We don't have this, right? So here, then why did Arjuna do it? There are many stories for this. Like this is something which wherein faith or destiny comes in. So first of all, in the case of Karna, Karna's Kavacha Kundala had gone away. So anyway, he had to die, right? Secondly, he had committed a lot of sins like Gohatya Papam was there. Parshurama had cursed him because he had lied that I'm a Kshatriya and so on. Then Karna had to face a lot in life and he had got a curse that at the right time, you will not remember all your prayers, all your powers or so. You'll not be able to be fight well and so on. So like this, when things came in, Karna, so this was what was destiny. And at the same time, Parshurama had also given him a Dhanusham. Dhanusham is a bow, that is a Vijay Dhanusha. And Karna, he used this only once in his entire lifetime, that is during the war of Kurukshetra. And it was said that anyone who holds this bow, now this bow was stronger than the Gandivam of uh, Arjuna, and Krishna knew this. So therefore, what happened is when Karna's chariot, the wheel got stuck in mud. At that time, he had kept his bow on the chariot, right? As usually, he is trying to take out the wheel from the mud. Very shrewdly, Krishna tells Arjuna, "This is the time to attack. If this is not done, Karna can never be defeated because he has that Vijay Dhanusham with him." So when Karna comes down without holding his bow, Sri Krishna knew that again, if he takes the bow, he cannot be defeated. So he tells Arjuna, "You kill him immediately." Now, like this, there are certain references, but there are a lot of controversies. Is this correct? Is this wrong? And so on. But there is only one thing. For Dharma Yuddham, if anything, for the fight of Dharma, this is a Yuddham between Dharma and Adharma. So for Dharma Yuddham, anything that comes in way will be Adharma. If Karna had lived in, or when Duryodhana still, if he had caused, if he would have been alive, if they had left it just on that without fighting a war, the world would be maybe a different picture today. The world will still suffer. So therefore, for the sake of dharma, for the upliftment of dharma, we do anything. Sometimes if you have to go here and there, that is also fine. This is what is shown by Krishna. And secondly, one more. Now this doesn't mean, as I told you, that adharma has to be always kept. Okay, he did adharma, I'll also do adharma, I'll also break rules. It's not like that. There are certain things like destiny which had to come in. Karna had already lost his Kavacha Kundala, so anyway, he had to die. Secondly, the Vijay Dhanusham was there. He had a lot of Gohatya Papam. So whatever we do, so through this, so that's the reason why Karna ultimately got killed. Faith had to play. So this is again a life lesson for all of us. Many times it happens that we feel that everything what we do is right, but still some other hurdle comes in. Right? So that is what is destiny. Okay, maybe somewhere something has gone wrong. I'm not aware of this today. Maybe 10 years later we come to know, oh, because of this, that day this thing didn't happen, right? And maybe 5, 10 years later we feel good that day this thing didn't happen. Today otherwise things would have been different, right? So like this, when things don't come up, there are many reasons for that. Just by picking the current situation, we cannot say, okay, what you did was wrong, right? Or what you did is adharma. So like this, by the statecraft that has been told by Krishna, there are many controversies. Karna himself had questioned Krishna on this, saying that you're the one, my life is full of problems. Though I was born as a Kshatriya, I'm actually the eldest of Pandavas. Kunti didn't tell me. I was revered by the I was insulted by the society as a Suta Putra, and so on. Only Duryodhana stood by me. That's why I gave him ultimate respect. That's why I should support him. At that time, Krishna tells, you should not just keep on blaming things. I was also born. I'm the Lord Himself, but I'm born in a jail, right? I was separated from my parents the day I was born. I was given to some other parents who were there. They took care of me right from the time I was born, rather right from the time before I was born, I came out of the womb, weapon, Rakshasas, Asuras, demons were ready for me to attack. So if you have to talk about problems, each one of us, we have our set of problems. I am the Lord Himself. He didn't directly tell this. He tells if the Lord Himself has to endure so much, what to think about us. So every time you don't come up with your problems, further Karna, he questions. He says that I have to support Duryodhana because he was the one who gave me respect. in the entire world, they kept names on me. At that time, Karna says, no doubt you should surely give respect to Duryodhana, that is great, but then not at the cost of adharma. And today, when he says, so Karna had questioned, is this dharma that you attack me when I am fallen down? That is when I am removing the wheel from my chariot wheel. At that time, Krishna says, now why are you talking about dharma? Where did your dharma go when you were killing Abhimanyu? Then he was also unarmed, right? So tit for tat or karma. This is how it comes back to us. Where is your dharma? When Draupadi was being insulted, you were also sitting and laughing with all the other Kauravas who are there. So he says, when you have to talk about dharma, don't talk about depending on the situation. Now, when things are dangerous for you, at that time you talk about dharma. No, if you're talking about dharma, always live upon dharma. This is one thing that he tells. Secondly, never discuss. Keep on blaming upon your problems. Lord tries to show if you have 4 problems, the opposite person might have 10 problems. So each one of us, we have our own set of problems. How each one we come out of that, that is very, very important. So this is one controversy, or you can say a main topic that is dealt in the statecraft of Krishna. Mahabharata is known for its controversies also, but and there are different interpretations. Even now, also there are people who will not have, fully. There are arguments that take place, counter arguments. So we cannot come exactly to a conclusion. But yes, Karna has his own argument points. Krishna also has his own points. Okay, so right from the Adi Parva till the Ashwamedika Parva, you have the statecraft as told by Krishna, except for the last Parvas. So with this, in a gist, this topic, if you see, statecraft by Narada Niti. It comes in the part of Sabha Parvam, the 5th Adhyaya Mahabharata. Statecraft by Vidura Niti, 33 to 41 Adhyayas, Udyoga Parvam Mahabharata. I'm just telling you with references, so if you want to read the original text from the Mahabharata, you can go through the same. Statecraft by Bhishmacharya on Rajadharma, Shanti Parvam and Anushasana Parva, both of that entirely, which has a Vishnu Sahasranama also. The statecraft as told by Lord Krishna. One text you can consider the Bhagavad Gita and Bhishma Parvam and the entire Mahabharata as such. So in between every time Krishna used to guide the Pandavas, and that's when he showed his statecraft. That is how the evolution of statecraft can be seen in Bharata Desha. You can see Atharva Vedam had, out of the 4 Vedas, Atharva Veda talked about this Arthashastra. And you have Arthashastra, Satyameva Jayate, Upavedas, Upanishads, Arthashastra, economics or polity, Itihasas, Sri Ramayanam, Mahabharatam, Satyameva Jayate, the Bodhavakyam, Breedavakyam that we have, that is from the Upanishads. Then the kings of India who have contributed for this, Vikramaditya, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, Krishna Devaraya, and so on. They also followed all these statecraft principles. And ultimately, in today's times, we have the constitution that follows this. So this is just how, right from the Vedic times till today, how the statecraft has evolved. That has been mentioned. Yeah, Sriram, do you want to say something? Ask something. Yes, Arthashastra that includes Chanakya. So Chanakya has only has contributed to Arthashastra. So yeah, the same thing. Yeah. Okay. So with this topic of statecraft comes to an end. I hope all of you could follow this. Could you follow it? Was it good? Next is we start with a new topic, little different topic. Story of swastika. The swastik symbol that most of us, all of us rather, we draw the symbol as a part of prosperity. Every day you might be drawing it as part of Rangoli column, or we stick those stickers that are there like this in different, whenever there are some auspicious, something auspicious on our doors also, we draw these symbols, right? But there's a lot of story behind this. Swastika is also considered as a symbol of hatred by a few communities, and in the west of course, whereas the east, they consider this symbol to be a symbol of prosperity. So how it has emerged as a symbol, let's have a look on this. Now, swastika, if you see as such, it is a symbol that is drawn. Okay. Now, the West, especially if you have to say West in a sense, Nazis and so on, you have Hitler, most popular is Hitler. They basically considered this to be a symbol of racism, horrors, and so forth. Why? We'll have a look at that later. And the East, usually, that is in Asia and so on, we consider this as a symbol of peace, prosperity, good luck, auspiciousness. Why it is considered as a symbol of peace, that we will see later. So whatever we do today, it's not just okay, one person believed and we are just blindly following him or her. It's not like that. There is some significance to this. So they both of these philosophies or beliefs that are there, they're completely opposite to each other. But still, how it has developed, let's have a look. Now, mainly what we will be looking at is one is the heritage of swastika, how this swastika came in, how this symbol came into existence, how the Nazis abused it, and whereas how the Vedas, what is the history behind swastika, and so on. So let's have a look. Now, mainly if you see, swastika as such is a part of symbols, right? Now, all this also what you can see in your K, K, the certain symbols are given one, and so on, and even a swastika, it is actually just a symbol. Right now, if you draw a swastika, like if you see, now today we know or we are told that the swastika is something as auspiciousness, right? Or sometimes we write Ramajayam, Om. Now if someone says Om, okay, this is something, is a pranava mantra, it represents auspiciousness, someone told us, so we know. Otherwise, Om is just a symbol, right? You just draw like a three like thing and then a C, something like that. It's actually just a shape or a symbol that is there. So even all the letters also, if I say A, B or K, K, G, whatever it is, they're just mere symbols. We have just added some meaning to this. There is some purpose. So basically, swastika also was just a symbol that is there, which was considered maybe by in such caves, inscriptions, and so on. But later it got some meaning to this. So mainly first where it was used is around the world. If you see, in Greece, you have the years that is mentioned. It was used mainly as a decorative element. So if you can see in their pottery works and so on, they will use the swastika. Now the shape of swastika little differs also. The third image, if you see, so little it differs, or they used to use it upside down, like an inverted image, not upside down, inverted image. And then on the first picture is the normal swastika. So basically now, if you see, uh, people of Sanatana Dharma or us, in general followers, we will not write swastika like the second or the third picture, right? We'll always just write it as a first one, because we consider or we associate that with an auspicious symbol. So we will not use it in our maybe as a part of decorations. Also, if we use it, we might not maybe write the inverted form and so on, right? Because we know that okay, there's a sense of auspiciousness, we use it as a symbol for a certain purpose. That's why we might not use it in such way. But in people, in Greece also, they just used it as a symbol for all these decoration purposes. Then people used to also use it as ornaments. If you can see, ornaments, gold ornaments, these are actually pendants and so on. So in Italy, Greece, Scandinavia, they used to use it as symbol. So in that, just for decorative purposes, mainly swastika was used. Then certain kings also, in Greece, again, it was used as on their coins, as inscriptions on coins. Then you have this in different countries, and or as a stone, like in Denmark, you can see it is used in this form. So like this, there are different forms wherein merely as a decorative symbol, or as you can say purely just a symbol on coins, ornaments, and so on, the sign of swastika was being used. Whereas while we come to the east, or in today's dharmic world, Sanatana Dharma has this swastika, Bauddha Dharma also considers swastika, and Jain Dharma also considers swastika as a auspicious symbol. So something which is very, very auspicious for these three dharmas: Sanatana Dharma, Bauddha Dharma, Jaina Dharma. Apart from that, there are other dharmas who don't follow this at all. They just consider it to be as a mere, you can say, a normal symbol that is there, like a star mark or a flower or so on. We just use it for decorative purposes. That's it. Now, why we consider this today as an auspicious symbol, we look about that later. So now there are two parts to this. One is, there are one category of people who just consider it as a mere symbol without any meaning to it. Second is, most of us, Sanatana Dharma, Bauddha Dharma, Jaina Dharma, considers it to be as an auspicious symbol, whereas the Nazis, they used to consider it as a hatred symbol. So you can see they actually called it as the hooked cross. Hooked cross, that is, it's actually a cross and you just have hooks on the side, so that makes a swastika symbol. Now, just to give you little, I now on the right side you can see Hitler, right? So those who know about Hitler, we know what was his Nazi philosophy and so on. So basically, there are references which say that we have something in our own history called the Aryan invasion, right? So Aryan invasion, there were actually a few something related to Europeans who are there, and they had actually this Nazi philosophy, mainly wherein they felt that whatever was practiced in Bharata is actually wrong, or in the East rather, not Bharata as such. In the East, whatever is being practiced is wrong. So therefore, we have to pick up, be against it, cause a lot of trouble to so on. So basically, if you may not get too much into that, otherwise it just leads to controversies. Is this correct? Is this right? And so on. So Aryan invasion is one topic wherein of course there are maybe good things, let's not say good things or bad things, few things have come out of that, but yes, few things have also caused a lot of issues that are there. So Aryan invasion that takes place, that is one part which is a very crucial part of history, which is quite somewhere related to this Nazi philosophy and so on. So that is mainly developing hatred towards certain symbols or certain practices which we had. So next is, so what happened is you have one more person who came now to talk more about swastika. You had one person called William Jones who came to India, and in Bharata, what he did was he studied a lot of Indian languages who were there, and what he came to a conclusion was, this was his conclusion. He says he talks more about the Sanskrit language. So he says the Sanskrit language is more perfect than Greek, Latin, and so on. And what he tried to do is all these three languages, they have their roots that are similar, maybe in the roots of verbs. So that is dhatu, vyakaranam, and so on. So he found some similarity, and he felt that all these three languages, Sanskrit, Greek, and Latin, all three of them, they belong to one family. That is one chief principal language, and from that language, all these three have come up. And maybe that principal language has been lost somewhere. Now, so therefore, he mentions that no philologer he could examine them and so on, and they have it's believed that all three have come from a common source. So the point is, out of this, what happens is there are certain misconceptions that are made, or let us misconceptions, or there is no proper research also on this. So what he tries to say is the language has got a very wonderful structure. Even today, if you now, I have not personally studied Latin or Greek, so I cannot speak on this. But with little whatever I know about Sanskrit, and I assume most of you might be aware, for each and every word that is there, there is some significance. That is, I can use this, I can use that also. Such a concept does not exist in Sanskrit. If you are using something, this is only word that you can use. If I say Mama Nama Lakshmi, my name is Lakshmi, that's it. I cannot change it in any other way. I can change the order of the words, that is fine. But then instead of mama, I add something else and so on. That doesn't work at all. Mama is mine. That's it. There is no other meaning to this, right? Whereas in English or certain languages, what happens is if you want to tell a particular sentence or so, you can change it, right? The way you want. Like, I go to school, or certain sentences, the way you speak, it's your choice. Whatever choice of words you want to use, it's your choice. It is your call. You can use those words. Only you have to just ensure that it is grammatically correct, right? The tense, etc. Whereas in Sanskrit, it is not so. If you have to say that I go to school, that word only has to come there. Aham vidyalayam gachami. Why aham? Why vidyalayam? Why gachami? Everything has got a reason. No, I feel it is like that. There is no concept at all. So Sanskrit is like maths. Everything is formulated, right? So that is because the structure is like that. To just elaborate more further, like I give you an example of tenses that is there. Past tense, everything which is past happened 1 minute before, that is also past. 1 minute later is future, right? And this current minute that is going on, that is present. This is what we know. Sanskrit language, if you have to talk about past tense, there are two, three categories. Immediate past, that past maybe years and years back, right? That is centuries earlier, that is one another past tense. Then there is another category of past tense wherein we are not alive. I was not alive at all, but whatever happened before me, that is another category of past tense. Something what we call immediate past, something centuries old, and a third category wherein I am not alive, so things before my birth. So like this, there are three categories. Even for future tense also, immediate future, maybe tomorrow or so. Then something which will happen maybe centuries later. You will be there, you'll not be there. So like we say, no, years later or years ago. So in such terms, if you want to make usage of such sentences, a certain form of future tense has to be used. And maybe if you have to talk about something which is beyond imagination, or you can say very, very far off, For that, another form is used. So why I'm telling you all this is the language is very rich. It's not that I say past tense, I say future tense, only one word is used. No. Depending on the gender, lingam, certain words change. Then depending on the tense. In Sanskrit, we also have something called dual. Ekavachanam, bahuvachanam. Singular, plural. We also have dual in it. That is dvivachanam. So more than two is not plural. Sanskrit, it will be three and more will only be bahuvachanam. Okay. So like this, there are certain things. So therefore, even this person who was there, William Jones, he also studied and he felt that there are few things that are there that that is Latin, Greece, Sanskrit, they are all fall in one family and so on. This is how you have the Aryan invasion that took place. Then that is basically they try to relate Indo-European languages and so on. But till date, if you see all that research that is being done, maybe Sanskrit you can consider, though we say the mother of languages, still if you see the Dravida Bhashas are quite different, right? Like we have Dravida Bhashas, Tamil. Uh, Tamil is again a different family of languages, Tamil, Malayalam. Though we have words that are quite common, but still, Tamil language, especially if you see words are there, but we cannot say that it has come from there, right? It is a completely different family of languages. But still, there can be some similarity that is there in Indian languages. Bharatiya Bhasha, still we can find some similarity. But there cannot be something wherein, or at least till date, I'm talking about till date, future is some research like this, like even this William Jones has made some research, but he has not come to any conclusion. He says maybe it has gone at all. There is no proper resource also where we have information, so we cannot comment on this. But then it becomes very difficult. You cannot compare Sanskrit and English, or Sanskrit is a different family of languages. You have something called the Aryan languages, Dravidian languages, then you have the European Roman languages and so on. So we cannot just directly compare anything and everything. This has come from this has come from this. Yes, there can be similar structures that are there, like he also mentions. Maybe the grammar rules are same and so on. The structure can be similar. That doesn't mean the roots are same. So always this is something which has to be noted. There are a lot of misconceptions on this. So like this, now how is this related to this Nazi philosophy? Is you had this Aryan invasion, which is quite related to that Nazi philosophy, when those Europeans they started developing hatred that is there. So that's how we had this symbol that was used as a part of, you can say, hatred that came in. And that's why in their flags also, or you can see on his shoulder, he has put that black mark with the symbol. So that was considered as a mark of hate. Now, one important part is, we'll just look at this and then we'll stop. Yeah. Now, this was how is the significance of swastika. So mainly you can consider one chunk of the population who considered the symbol to be auspicious, one chunk who considered it as a symbol of hatred, the third category who just used it as a symbol for random purposes. Now decoding swastika. What, why is it that many civilizations they used swastika? What was the motto behind that? And why? Now we all, when you look at this, each one of us here, we know that this is swastika. Why is swastika even written in this way? And is it similar across all cultures? We know it is not. We have just now seen some people write it in an inverted manner, or you have hooked like in the Nazi way when they had to express their hatred. When they use a symbol, it's a different way of writing. So obviously we cannot, to some extent similar, but each of these structures are different. Why is it even named as swastika, and are there any other names also to this symbol? There is, these are all certain questions that revolve around this. So let's have a look at this next time. We'll stop here. Today time is up. We'll meet again next Sunday.